For some reason I was having a really hard time recording the intro for this. But here's the intro for this. So back in December of 2024, I decided to challenge myself to, do I know VR development and Unity game engine enough to make a playable game that's worth sharing in just an hour? So here's how I did that. So what made me think this would be possible in the first place? Unity is my game engine of choice, and I've been using it for years. And Unity is just built for VR. Anytime I see people online asking, hey, what should I target as my game platform? Should I do 2D, 3D, VR? What's the easiest? Hands down, my answer is always VR. And I've done a little bit of all of it, and I keep coming back to VR because it's fun, and Unity just makes it easy. Especially if you're just getting started, they have a great, what they call their mixed reality demo scene. And you basically just start it right up, and you can move your player, you can grab objects, you can climb. All the basics you would need for VR are there and ready to go. So I had to think about scope. What could I build in just an hour? So I started thinking about, what do mobile games do? And I started thinking about early mobile games. What were some of the very first games like I ever played on like mobile touchscreen, like on an early gen iPhone or something like that. And so I thought of this game I used to play ages ago that was just a paper toss game, which was you were throwing paper balls into a trash can. And so I took it from there. I decided to jump right in and find myself a nice trash can and some paper balls. Couldn't find anything I liked on the Unity Asset Store, so I found this great one on CG Trader. And so I pretty much based the game around this basket and most of these paper balls. Have we talked about the rules yet? So the rules that I gave to myself was that the timer, which you can see in the bottom right screen, would only run if I was adding logic. I could pause the timer when I was doing things like I am now, which is checking the project validation checks, making sure build settings were correct, importing new assets. During any of that time, I could pause it. If I was doing a build, I could pause it. If I was doing a play test, I could pause it. The only time I had to run the timer was if I was actually writing new code. So I finally got to work. I got the trash bin, I got the papers, and I separated them all. I found the papers that I liked, and then I made sure the papers would fall with gravity and they wouldn't just go through the floor. Next, it was time to build and test what I had done so far.
Nice.
And then I needed to make sure I could score points. So inside the trash bin, I put a little empty collider in there so that when the paper entered the collider, it was deep enough that I knew it would stay in the can and that would count as a point. So it's time for a coding montage.
It's over!
Next up, it was time for some sound design, which basically just consisted of me telling the sound how far it should travel in the world. And as you can see, we've limited our paper ball count to like 6 different ones that I liked. A sanity check is just when you play the app. Even though you've made some simple change, you play the app anyways to make sure it still works. So here we see me doing just that. I'm grabbing the paper, throwing it in to see if it works, but I keep finding the papers falling out. So that's telling me there's something wrong with the colliders. So I brought the trash can over into Blender, and where you see where it's red, that means you can basically go through those faces. So I was looking for a modifier called Solidify that would hopefully give me some faces on all sides. And there's probably better ways to do this, but I'm not a 3D modeler. So I just switched it to Solidify. Boom, I see it's blue now, so that means the paper should no longer fall through the waste paper basket. Let's jump ahead to where I did some off-screen coding to create this paper spawner script, which took care of after I threw a piece of paper, it's spawning a new one that I could throw. So if you're watching the timer, you can assume that at this point I'm starting to stress a little bit. When I first started this challenge, I'm pretty sure I could probably get it done. And I had really, really high confidence during the first 30 minutes because even like the first 10, I made huge strides toward completing everything that I wanted to do. But then somewhere between minute 30 and minute 40, things just started not really going my way. And I was really starting to wonder if I would get this done within 1 hour like I'd hoped to. So I finished the paper spawner script, and now I'm checking to make sure that it works, and it doesn't. I was able to throw one paper, and now I'm looking at my controllers like, why is the next one not spawning? So it was time to go back and look at the code again. Luckily, it didn't take long to figure out what the issue was. As you can see here, just a couple little modifications, and I was back in business. So I went back to play test again, and the paper spawning was working as expected. And just for fun, I decided to put my controllers down and see what it would be like to use hand tracking. And yeah, you could grab the paper with pinching fingers, but I don't know why you would want to do that. As you can see, we get just under the 1 hour mark when I still decide to add a few more features because there was a few things that I wanted to make sure the game had. One was the ability to actually keep track of score, which you can see me working on the scorekeeper script here. And the other is to actually be able to grab the trash can and move it around. Because the whole point of this app is that it's not a VR app, it's actually a mixed reality app, which I'll show you in an upcoming clip. There will be no background, it'll be just your real world environment around you. All right, so here's the current state of the build. You pull the trigger, spawn a paper, toss it in. Right, pretty cool. I found a couple bugs though. So sometimes when the papers collide with each other and then fall off back into the basket, sometimes it resets the counter, and it did do that. So I want to fix that bug, even though it's adding more time to my build timer, and it's actually 5-6 months later. It's May now, and I'm gonna fix the bug. So I'm gonna add that to my whole timer. And then the other bug is if I quickly grab papers, they just fly off in crazy directions, and they shouldn't be doing that. So now if I spawn a paper, I gotta quickly grab it and then toss it into the basket. So let's go fix those bugs real quick. All right, so pull the trigger to spawn a paper, toss it into the basket. Pull the trigger to spawn into the basket. If it drops on the floor, resets the counter, and it only resets the counter if it hits the floor. So much more reliable. Also, if I spawn a bunch of these, no issues there, because whenever I spawn one again, it resets its velocity, and the basket I should still be able to grab and place where I want. I could totally make it to where the papers move with the basket, but that could be for if I ever do updates to this, which, will I do updates to this? I don't know. Let's talk about what's next for this. What was the whole point of this? I mean, it was a challenge to myself to see if I could do it.
Do it!
And I know we didn't see the timer the whole time. I didn't get everything done that I wanted to do in an hour. The stuff that I finished when I did the challenge in December, I was about 1 hour and 7 minutes, but I did find some game-breaking bugs while editing this video that I wanted to fix, so it took somewhere between 1 hour and 1 hour and 30 minutes. I think this game could potentially be something fun for people to play. I actually released it on the Oculus store, so you can go play it. I'll put a link in the description. It's free to play right now. I could see myself working on this more and actually adding some more features, making it to where it actually bounces off your real world walls, maybe even doing some in-app purchases.
Show me the money!
Doing leaderboards, giving people the ability to like set their basket like 100 feet away and toss one in and like be on a leaderboard for farthest distance. So there's all sorts of options. So this is a game that you feel like you would love to play on your Meta headset. Then check out a link in my description to join my Discord. Only gonna work on this if there's a demand. Like if I see a lot of downloads or if a lot of people join my Discord and ask for stuff, that's when I'll develop it. But if it seems like no one really cares,
clap if you care.
I'm not really gonna work on it again. But some great features I could see: bouncing off real world objects, multiplayer, leaderboards, for like in-app purchase type stuff. I could see like buying different basket types, different things to throw, maybe even designing obstacles like fans and stuff that could potentially interfere with your throwing. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Maybe give me a suggestion of something else you'd like to see me make for virtual reality. I have lots of cool ideas, but I'd love to hear what you all have to say. Check you next time.